bit. Um, we're gonna get right into it, y'all. I feel like the the enemy is working hard. You know how many times I've recorded this video? Do you know how many times my phone has said iPhone storage full? I don't get Apple. Y'all make these phones so smart and put it somewhere then. Anyway, we're not gonna let it win, right? I'm gonna keep going till I get the storage I need. So what I have to talk about today is patterns, right? Patterns. Mine's revolving around relationships. So we're gonna get right into it, okay? Luke 4:13. You know, Luke 4:13 talks about when Jesus was in the wilderness and how the enemy was tempting him. He said, "Mom, what you talking about?" And how the enemy was tempting him and kind of what that looked like opportune time. Like when he was hungry, his most vulnerable time, you know. That's when he came in and he did all of his tempting. Did he win? No. Would he have won with me? 40 days without eating? I like to say I would want the strength of Jesus. Got a little turkey, more mayonnaise, a little slice of cheese. I don't know. No. See, I just imagine it. That's all he needs you to do. All he needs you to do when he plant that seed, he just needs you to think about it and go on a run with it. And as soon as you do, boom. You don't even need to act it out. If Jesus would have thought about a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken, original, crispy, few biscuits, potato wedges, all the enemy needed him to do was just think about it, right? He didn't even have to, he would not even have to eat anything. All he would have to do was think about it, like I just did. Boom. But I'm glad I'm not hungry right now, right? But how he got me was getting him back into a relationship that had the same patterns. Same pattern, never change. Yellow, blue, purple. Yellow, blue, purple. Yeah. Same pattern. How he got me. Opportune time. I felt like it was set up that way. A text message was sent. Boom. At the time where I felt lonely and was like, I just need a friend, I responded back to the text message. Boom. Now you got collaboration. I left the relationship, not in a wholesome, good way, not in a way that I am doing now, where I want to love people well. I've given God my full devoted yes, and so now I want to walk away from things with still a love in my heart, and I haven't stored up any bitterness for you. That is my goal. Now, back then, not so much. So, relationship was already left before for the very reasons that played out. But here's the thing about this time, though. With the enemy, that's where your discernment is needed. Okay? Because the patterns are going to be the same. You know why? He knows where to hit you. He knows how this is going to rock you, how this is going to shake you, how this is going to discourage you, what this is going to do to you. He know who to use and he know how to use them. So if you are constantly getting back into the same shit with these people, the same relationship with these people, and nothing has changed and it looks very much so the same, and the outcome is the same, then it's a pattern. And it's a pattern that he knows. But when you decide to use your discernment, right? And then that's when you get hit with Matthew 6:21, because that's the scripture I got. And that talks about what we decide to treasure, and that's where our heart will be. I'm looking at my notes, y'all, because I never want to give y'all my secrets. Okay? That's where our heart will be. Okay? So What I was treasuring was connection over emotional safety. What I was treasuring was the potential of this relationship, knowing what it already is. What it already is, because that's what it has been. Now, we like to think that people change, right? We change. We ask God for forgiveness. We look for grace. We look for mercy. That's not always the case. No, sir. Go lay down. That's not always the case with certain relationships, because some things are specifically sent from who? The enemy. Okay? So yeah, I had to ask myself, what am I constantly choosing? I was constantly choosing the connection, the key moments over how this was really making me feel, how this was really playing out, what was actually really in front of me, but being disguised as other things. This person in this relationship was very good with wordplay. This person in this relationship was good at, I would say, throwing rocks and hiding hands. So your intention was to do this, but you're going to sway it to be something else. I would never. Who would I see? I'm not that type. God is working through, and that's not the case. And that's where your discernment is going to come in, because when God gives you the gift of discernment, you'll be able to be like, that looks like what it is. Deception. That looks like what it is. You sitting in an envious heart posture. That looks like what it is. That is what it is. That is what it has been, right? And many times I would get on the phone with this person and I would say, hey, I lost 10 pounds. It'd be so silent, and then the subject would change, and then they would change the subject immediately. It would happen every single time, where the silence became so loud that there was nothing you could do but kind of be drawn to it. Like, what is this? What is this? You know, it became so emotionally draining. And when you decide to discern this pattern and you pick up on these things, and let's say you like, they look like they want to be left alone. You reel yourself back in and you like, all right. Bible tells you about overstepping. Too much talk or too much things can make somebody get real tired of you. Okay, it's in Proverbs. I'm gonna have to go find it. But it does talk about that, having healthy boundaries in the relationship. So for me, that's okay. You know, I don't mind taking a step back, and you holler at me when you're ready. You know, I never wanna, I'm a boundary person at this point, right? And I pick up on social cues very well, right? So you decided to kind of give them the space that they're non-verbally asking for, and then you get flooded with calls, and you get flooded with texts. That right there, my friend, is emotionally draining. And that is a pattern. That is a continuous pattern. And the enemy knows that relationships like this have been like my life, right? Last video I talked about my mom and my dad. I love them dearly. This is not to bash them, but this is just my reality. Relationships like this look the same for me across the board. And it's not until now that I'm discovering that these patterns, that these relationships with these same certain people rock my nervous system, rock me so much that I start feeling discouraged about my own healing. I start feeling like I've been in therapy 10 years. Why am I still feeling like this? And I'm playing a hand because I'm not using my discernment. I know what this looks like, but I'm choosing connection over what I'm actually supposed to be doing. I'm choosing connection over emotional safety. I'm choosing connection over peace. God don't bring confusion. God don't bring chaos. God don't bring none of that. And if it's coming with that, then you know it's not from him. But I'm continuously choosing it because we had a key moment earlier. I'm consistently choosing connection over what was I about to say? I already said emotional safety, but I'm consistently choosing to be in this relationship because there's longevity, because we've had history. And none of that matters because the pattern is the same. And I tell in therapy, with my therapist I'm with now, I always be like, well, it's the intentions. I'm an intentions person. I'm a motives person. Your motives matter. And she's like, your motives matter, but it don't matter when the pattern is the same. When somebody is showing you something, their intentions don't matter because it looks the same. So it's like taking it for what it is, right? I wanted to have a relationship with this person. I wanted the best outcome possible with this person. But that's not what it was. That's not what I got. Because I can't say what I was about to say. So I'm going to move on past that thought. I treasured connection over obedience. It didn't take long for me to get to this place where I'm at in the relationship this time. But I dragged it out, and I dragged myself. I dragged myself through all of the emotional turmoil and the emotional draining because I had already known that this ain't it. From my first Bible study on, it was just like let it go. This ain't it. And I'm like, God, am I discerning you? Like I said in my last video, am I discerning you? Are these my thoughts? Am I not forgiving something? I done had 3 conversations where I'm like, oh, this and this, and I'm thinking that this is going to help when it's just like, no, God has told me to let go. But I kept wanting the connection, and I kept wanting to see the good. And that's not saying that this person doesn't have good to them at all. But in this instance, and in particular piece of it, that good was not enough to sustain this because it was just time to let it go. It was just time to let it go. Before I got here, I would have just cut this person off and they wouldn't have just heard from me no more. But this time I wanted to dwell and I wanted to take it up to God. I watched a podcast with the Perrys with Yana. If y'all go look it up on YouTube. And she talks about loving people well. And I listened to that one. I came upon that one on accident the first time. And then I listened to it again and again. Because it's like, I want to get this right. I want to get this right. If this is a test that I need to pass, I want to get this right. In his eyes, I want him to know that I led with genuineness and love, and I came from behind my wall. I lacked vulnerability as well. I came in like, hey, I'm willing to work on these things, and I came from behind my wall. And it was, y'all, when I tell you the emotionally draining was so real, the displace and blame, oh my goodness, my head was hurting. Like, I got a text message from this person in the bed and I immediately start crying. And I was telling my husband, like, I'm so drained. I'm so drained. I don't know whether to go right or to go left with this person. I'm so over it. It is too much. It is too much. And in that moment, I knew I gotta let it go because the amount of times my nervous system was being rocked, it was too much to bear. And that's because I was being disobedient. Because I already knew what I needed to do. I needed to do it. And it was so hard. It was so hard. I made a video about when you do things in the past and you feel like where you're sitting is where you deserve. That was about me. I don't talk about nothing that ain't about me. That was about me. Because I felt like I had hurt you in the past, or I had did something to you in the past, and now that I've came back, then I've worked on myself and I've been intentional with myself, and I feel like I could be better here, and I've sat with myself and I've discerned myself. Now it's like, oh no, this is kind of what I get for doing that, and that's not the case. Let it go. Let it go. If the pattern is consistent, and if the pattern is constantly making you feel ways that you know are not of God, God will not send you nobody that brings that much dysfunction. People have flaws. People are human. That's not to say I don't have my own streak of patterns. People can choose to have me in their life or not. When I was cutting everybody off left and right, I'm sitting in those consequences with some people who choose to forgive me and move on. But you know what that pattern looks like for you. You know what that dysfunction looks like for you. And if it's rocking your core, and if it's rocking you to start to sit in disbelief of God, of yourself, being discouraged, no, sir, go lay down. Then you know that it is not from God. It's not from God. Matthew 7:16 says you will know them by their fruit. You will know them by their fruit. You got to let it go. Do what you were told to do. You're going to be like me, crying over a text message because you're just so burnt out. You're so emotionally drained. I mean, it's like you can love somebody with all your heart. You could want the best for somebody with all your heart, and it just does not. It's not enough. You cannot change that for that person. You cannot save that person. It's not enough to sustain for that person. You're going to have to let that person go. Whoever that is. Whoever that is. And I wrote down, it's not isolated actions that shape us, but it's the constant repeated ones. You know, that one time she was silent on the phone when I said I lost 10 pounds. Oh, okay, we moved on. But in the 2 weeks I said, girl, I lost 15. She's like, woo, heck, she like, woo, woo. But it was constantly. There was so many things I could go over, but I'm not, because that's gonna give me a headache if I go down that list of things. I'm just not gonna do that. And patterns of behavior often reveal what we are treasuring. Like I said, I was treasuring connection. I was treasuring history. I was treasuring longevity. None of that mattered. Because when he said let it go, that's when I should have did it. And I'm sitting with myself and I'm like, am I discerning you or am I discerning my voice? The enemy loves to throw a little bone in there. And that's where that confusion comes in at. Right? Because we know ourselves. And that's why discipleship also is so important. Because like it'll help with those thoughts of, is it me or is this God? You know? What else did I write down? Opportune time. He comes at the opportune time, the most loneliest time. I was in my loneliness when I decided to go back, like I said, in that made collaboration. And he snuck that right on in there. And to be honest, I kind of feel like the other person was feeling it too. Because familiarity, I had to break that down because if I said it all fast, you probably wouldn't have heard it. That's all that it was. Is we're familiar with each other. That's it. So when time's looking lonely or rough or nostalgia is needed, or it's like, hey, let me hit you back up. But it's like, no, there's literally nothing growing from that tree for me. Nothing. And this person is not the only relationship I've had to do this with. I love my mother with all my heart. This is not anything like that. But I feel like once you start talking about the things out loud, you're able to continuously heal. And that's not to say I'm protecting her or anything. I'm not going to go into full detail. But even my dad, I don't have a relationship with either of them, as I said in my last video. And I don't hold any ill will. I don't have any stored up bitterness. But the craziest thing about it is that I was choosing title over emotional safety. I was choosing connection over emotional safety because in my head, I'm like, you know, this is the woman that birthed me, right? This is the man that he didn't birth me, but he held me. You know what I mean? You know how babies are made. Where do babies come from? We know. So to have to walk away from those relationships because of the constant pattern. Back then, I didn't know that. I didn't know. But sitting in my quiet time, it's like all of these relationships mimic the same thing. The emotional, the lack of emotional safety. I learned how to ghost people, like I said, because of my parents. You know, that's something constant that I went through with my mama. Love withdrawal was real. Love withdrawal is like frames my childhood. And then with my dad, it could be at any point. It could be at any point that something maybe didn't go his way or something. I would never know. But I just know that he stopped talking to me for 4 years. One day I talked to him, next day I couldn't get a hold of him for 4 years. The emotional unsafety. That is a pattern. So this relationship mimicked all of that. Rocked my nervous system to my core. Didn't understand all of that. Was not discerning none of that until I gave God my yes. Was I able to steward this properly? Was I able to say, no, this ain't for me. This is not for me. And I'm not on her like I'm some Mother Teresa. I don't want that to come off. Like I said, I have hurt people myself, and they have chosen to walk away. Right? I can sit in that. I can sit in my accountability of that. I'm not perfect by any means. In this journey, in this moment right here, this is where I got to decide that the pattern is gonna have to stop. I'm getting off your emotional roller coaster. That's what that looks like for me. I didn't have to sit and dwell and take what you decided to give because I felt like I deserved it, right? I don't have to wrestle with who God is calling me to be and all that because I should have just been obedient. That's the bottom line to it. That's the bottom line to it. I said, how am I discern for you, pray for you, and be in a relationship with you? Well, I can't do that last one. So I can discern you and still pray for you. But to allow access, I don't have to. Right. Whew, y'all. And Proverbs 22:3 says, the prudent sees danger and take refuge, but the simple keeps going and they suffer. I kept going and I suffered. Even though I saw it. I saw it. And so, peace isn't proven by endurance of harm, but alignment with truth. You don't have to sit and take the beating. You don't have to. You don't have to say, oh, it gets ugly before it gets better. That, I hear that a lot. It shouldn't start out ugly. Honestly. Yeah. So, what is the pattern? What is this pattern giving me that I am afraid to lose? That's what I'm gonna leave you with. What is this pattern giving me that I am afraid to lose? I have a few other relationships that's kind of like this, and I am dwelling and discerning those in my now, in my current. And I am waiting. I'm all right with waiting on God and Him giving me what I need. Right? Because if you don't have the peace to move, wait. Okay? Priscilla book talks about the red light, yellow light, and green light. So if you don't have the peace to move, wait. Give it a beat. Give it a second. You know, sometimes things are our feelings. We're human, so we get heightened in our feelings. And rejection and all the things can be at that surface level. where somebody may not be operating in the way that you want them to, or in the manner that you want them to. So a lot of times sitting in silence, I did not used to like silence. Actually, silence used to get on my nerves. I would hang the phone up if we were silent. I set time out for silence because a lot of what's coming up is what needs to, and that's for me. So if I don't have the peace to move just yet, then I'm awake. Right? If I have the peace to move, if thinking about you brings me one or two outcomes, if thinking about this person in this pattern gives me a headache, gives me chaos, gives me confusion, then I know I need to go on that green light. Right? If thinking about this person and they have chaos, confusion, and all the things, but when you think about letting them go and removing them gives you a sense of peace, then maybe you should move on that green light and pray about it. Right? We don't want nothing without them. We don't want nothing without them. Okay? That's what I talked about in my last video, Exodus 33. We don't want nothing without them. I don't want nothing without them. Right? The amount of peace that I say peace as if I'm not grieving the relationship, but I am. I'm going to grieve it. Because my therapist likes to say, you don't run back to something or somebody who was never good. Everybody has good and bad to them. No one's all bad or all good. So the grieving is there. I am sad. I was sad when I decided to end it. I was sad when I decided to walk away from my own relationship with my mama. That one was very hard, and I grieved it. And I have to preference too. The enemy will also use whatever tactics he can. He's a tactics person to keep you from growing and moving forward. If you're somebody who treasures comfort over growth, he knows that. So he'll make setting boundaries look scary. He'll make moving forward look scary. And so I used to choose comfort over growth, where I'll just let it slide because I don't want to have to talk about this. And in therapy, I was telling her, after I set the boundary with this relationship, even after I set not even set the boundary, when I decided to let go, I felt like harm was coming. But that's something that comes up from childhood that he knows about. So it shows up after I set a boundary for myself, or after I decide to walk away from something like this, and he throws that in there. So the next time I decide, it's like, hey, you remember what you felt like last time? Well, no, that's all right, because it's gonna feel like that the very first few times you do it. I'm 30. I am 30 years old, and I am just at a place where I can say I don't like it and I ain't standing for it. Period. I'm at a place where I can say, you know what, I said no, and I don't have to explain why I said no. I'm 30 years old, and I'm at a place where I can say I just don't want to. Okay? So he will throw that up in there. He'll bring whatever he can. He'll pull whatever he can out of his little stinking old little dirty bag to keep you where you at. And it's gonna feel rough the first few times. It's going to hurt the first few times, but you gotta keep going. Growth is uncomfortable. Stretching is uncomfortable. When you first start squatting, right? It's hard to sit on the toilet, especially if you did some good squats. You got down there, you got deep, right? Sometimes it's hard to sit on the toilet, but then you drink some more water. Okay? You continue to drink your water, and then you keep on squatting. That feeling go away after a while. That's me. I'm in my squatting right now. It feels uncomfortable. It feels like, did I make the right decision? Was I doing too much? And no, you weren't. No, I wasn't. Combat it with the truth. Right? Jesus said, when he asked him to turn those rocks into bread, if he do all that, He said, man does not eat on bread alone. I'm paraphrasing because I definitely can't remember word for word. But he just combated him with the truth. And that's what we got to do. Discern that pattern. And if you already know, and if you're praying for a sign, or if you're praying for God to show you something, tell you something, he comes in all different ways. Don't have no itchy ears. Because I went through my season of itchy ears. Don't have no itchy ears. What is itchy ears? Timothy something. I didn't write that one down. So, you got Google. Type in itchy ears and Timothy, and then it'll come up. Okay? But yeah. Yeah. I struggled with vulnerability and rejection for a long time. He knows that. Right? So I'm walking through that with God and therapy. And I'm going to leave it on this. If you're in a relationship, platonic or not, friendship, whatever you want to call it, and you struggle with vulnerability, if you stay behind your wall, you're going to miss out on the goodness of people and on the goodness of life. And then you're going to miss out on actually receiving people's fullness. How will you know if you can make a decisive choice if you decided to shield off half of it? Okay? So if you stay behind your wall, that is what's going to happen. But if you come from behind your wall, you get a chance to experience people in their fullness. You get a chance to say, this sets me up for hurt. But I'm going to do it anyway. Because we want to experience all of the goodness out of life. And you never know who God is sending you in your life to be that kingdom friend. You know, to be whatever it is that you've been praying to him for. You won't know. Vulnerability is tied into pride. So we got to come from behind our wall, y'all. It's scary. I know. Nobody wants to be rejected. Nobody wants to be hurt, right? That's life. It comes with all sorts of disappointments, all sorts of hurt from people. But if we're constantly trying to shield ourselves from being hurt, if we are idolizing self-preservation and protecting ourselves, then we are not living in God's fullness. We are not living in our fullness. Okay? Hurt is going to come. All right? It's just about who is worth the hurt. Who worth the hurt? So, I had some notes down here. Who is worth the hurt? And I can definitely see the work of God through me. Like, who I used to be is nowhere near who I am today. I truly, truly, truly want to love people, right? I don't know what, like, true love, true forgiveness, all that looks like. I'm learning that at 30. So I truly want to love people. Jesus knows all how we feel. He knows how we feel. He knows how it feels to be alone. He knows how it feels to be in aloneness. He knows how it feels to be rejected. He knows how it feels to be left. He knows how it feels. He knows. And give it to him. Right? Give it to him. Dwell with him. Sit with him. Okay? God is so intentional. Okay? No tears are wasted. No time is wasted. Nothing is wasted. He is going to use it. We don't know when. We want a little manuscript, because I do. We don't know. So, he loves us. He loves these people too, that we are choosing to walk away from. He loves them too. He's going to do a work within them too. It's just not for us. At least not right now. You gotta allow him to make that call. I'm hopeful. I don't have a hardened heart. You know, when I read I'm going a little long with it, but when I read that the Bible tells us to honor our mother and father, that's why I stayed in these patterns. And it's just taken out of context for me. I don't have to sit and endure. I don't have to take it because I feel like something's bad gonna happen if I decide to just cut this person out of my life. I can love them from here. I can pray for them from here. And if they ever need anything, I can move with that. If I got it, I'll do it. So I have no hardness stored up. Not anymore. I used to. Real bad. I don't anymore. I'm not holding no accounts. So I'm hopeful. God moves and he does things exceedingly and abundantly. He does it on time. Ecclesiastics tell us it's a season for everything. So just stay prayed up. Be mindful of that opportune time. He lurking and he looking all the time. All the time. He always trying to find a way. Okay? Like he did with this video. Because I recorded 3 times. So. But he didn't win. Right? So I pray that this finds somebody. And my email, my inbox is open. I know what it feels like to be sitting in this spot. And I know how it feels when it's time to let something go. I feel that deeply. And it's not easy. So, if you need a hand to walk with you, I got you. Alright? So, yeah, that's it. Pray, keep yourself prayed up. He'll ugh. You know? Alright? So, yeah, I'm out. Bye, y'all.